And so the match begins. The combatants are Zaya Naito, who will be playing the Red Terran, and myself, Tiberius, who will be playing the Blue Terran. Um, I'm just going to be casting this. It was my one win from the night, so I figure, hey, I'll do a cast of it and put it up on YouTube. So the Terran v Terran TVT, which in my opinion is actually probably one of my weakest matchups. Then again, who is strong against Terran? But anyways, looks like we have so far equal builds. We both run out to put that supply depot at about the same time, although it looks like he actually doesn't build one. I build an earlier supply depot. Looks like he's scouting around his base looking for cheese, just in case I were to be doing something fishy in his base early game. Not sure why he'd think that. This is a pretty large map. I would have to do a lot of scouting in order to do that. Oh, looks like... No, yeah, same deal. And I get that barracks up first. Although he gets it out quickly thereafter, so really we're fairly neck and neck right now. Looks like I'm ahead of him on SCVs by 1. And I'm already scouting around trying to find his base, whereas he is just walling himself off. I'm not bothering to wall off. I find that walling off in TVT is kinda useless and unnecessary. And there goes my first refinery, and his goes at the pretty much the same time, maybe slightly earlier, but that is entirely comparable. Now he begins to scout. And I still have one more SCV than he does. I'm getting an orbital command. He is yet to. Both putting that second supply depot down. He's getting an early second refinery, whereas I am holding off on that for now. I like to see what they're going before I get for that second refinery. And of course, he's at the last base I check. And at this time, fully walled off, and I can't really get a good idea of what's going on. Unfortunately, since I didn't, he'll be able to just come up right up into my base. I do see, however, that he has a tech lab, so I begin to worry about Reapers. And so with that, I start positioning my Marines right around my SCVs. I also take the Zelnaga Watchtower in the middle, just for that added visibility. Now, if he comes into my base, I will, with any sort of significant push, I will be able to spot him. He's got those two refineries out, and he's keep making Reapers, although I don't think he ever uses them, which I find odd. And I have a factory coming up far quicker than he does. Yeah, his is just beginning now, and mine is just about done. Second refinery is up for me, and I'm doing a tech lab switch, so I can just get that factory straight down on that tech lab. I want to go siege tanks. I do a scanner sweep here. I see that he's making a factory, and I do believe that I see these Reapers. So once again, I have my Marines sort of positioned just to defend my SCVs. I'm not too worried about them, but just in case that early siege tank is coming out. Getting siege mode. Yeah, he even has nitro packs, but he hasn't. I don't believe that he even really uses these Reapers effectively. Putting a tech lab on that factory, getting an early starport, going the 111, or as some like to call it, Destiny Cloudfist. Notice how I'm building my base. I'm trying to keep myself consolidated. With these siege tanks, I'm going to be able to make a pretty strong defense from any angle. Yeah, I won't have the choke point advantage, but I'll be able to build quicker than I would be if I Had to wall off. I scout him again. I continually scout him. I want to know what he's doing. I see that starport, and in fact I see this starport switch, and so I know that he's getting a tech lab on that starport. With that, I start to become a little bit afraid about Banshees. That being said, I already have a command center, and I am starting to move that away and expand. He has yet to do that. I have a couple siege tanks putting in position, just in case for Reapers, and any sort of attack, really. Building a starport. Hopefully trying to get some Vikings out to worry about those Banshees. And here's an engineering bay just to get some turrets for the Banshees, just for cloak protection and additional anti-air, since I'm mostly going siege tanks. And in fact, since I saw that starport, I'm probably I figure I will be going siege tanks Vikings, the old standby in TVT matchup. I don't really use that strategy too frequently. I don't particularly like it, but I am starting to feel like it's a little bit necessary in certain TVT matchups. Starting to turret off my base, worried about that cloak. I know that he's probably going to have that cloak by now, and just before he starts getting it, I've got my turrets going, so pretty well timed. Put my expansion down there, starting to make SCVs. All right, he still has Reapers, and now it looks like he's going triple barracks. So he's just Destiny cloud fisting all over the place. Getting a couple Marines because I'm still a little worried about that Ericsson. I don't have my Vikings out yet. And in terms of just mobility, they could theoretically dodge my turrets if they were if they could micro that well. Though I do have my turrets in pretty key positions. Putting those 2 refineries down in my expansion. He has yet to expand. He's worried more about just having a consistent army, which, to be fair, is a pretty legitimate strategy. A lot of Terrans would have pushed by now, but he doesn't have nearly as good of an idea of what I'm going as I do him. I scanner swept a whole lot more frequently than he did. Scouted a whole lot better than he did. Starting to get my Vikings out and put it down another factory. Now that I have the gas to be able to support that with my expo. It looks like Zion Naito is just a little bit scared, a little bit trepidatious about attacking me. And to be fair, he has perfectly good reason. I am very well situated. I am bunked off. I am turtling like a motherfucker over here. He just has such a spread of units. Couple Marauders, couple Marines, couple Siege Tanks, couple Reapers, couple Banshees. Starting to make a couple Medivacs. And I have a couple Marines, but mostly just Siege Tanks and Vikings. He scans me over here. More than likely he was going to try and do a Banshee hit on my SCVs, but he saw that missile turret and knew that would not be a good option. And yeah, he's scanning around trying to find a good place to hit, but everywhere is covered in my base by missile turrets, which really put a damper in his strategy. In fact, I believe he, for the most part, stops making Banshees at this point because I am just so well defended against it. If had he scouted earlier, he might have been able to save some money on them, but oh well. The importance of scouting. Now I've got actually a pretty hefty number of siege tanks. I'm up to 7 siege tanks and 7 Vikings. 7 siege tanks can be devastating. In terms of army value, we are just about the same in minerals and supply, but I've got a fairly sizable gas lead. I am do have more higher tech units. All my tech is a tier 2, whereas his is still primarily ground Marines and Marauders. And at this point, I believe I had scanned. Oh, I scanned here and noticed that yeah, he does have multiple barracks, and so I do know that he is continuing to go for some sort of bio ball. Of course, I see the banshees as well, but it just perfectly playing into my hands. I know I can just continue to make as many siege tanks as I want because siege tanks are just going to blow that bio to smithereens. And since he has banshees, I just have a fair amount of Vikings. Now I start my attack. I leave a couple siege tanks just in case. I know he has medevacs and he could drop some ships, drop some guys into my base. In fact, I actually horribly messed this initial attack up. By looking at our armies, I think I should have won in this first push. He's just finally getting his expo. Terrans really seem to not don't like to expand early, at least in platinum, and I really took advantage of that fact here in this game. In terms of my income, I am far ahead of him. I am twice the gas and about 125, 130% more gas minerals, or I should say 30% more minerals. So now I start to come in. I put my siege tanks in a very good position. Just cream those Marines. Oh, absolutely obliterated. Now the problem is that he's banshees are over here and come at me here, and just as I don't see any air and I bring my Vikings down, here come the banshees. Now I also fat-fingered my orbital command and wasn't able to get a scan off nearly in time, and the Marines come in here and just take out those Vikings, and oh, that was just nasty. I am in a terrible position right now. I mean, I absolutely have the income, but he's got. Well, let's look at that army value. Well, we're actually still fairly comparable. There we go. Now he's got a significant, sizable lead on me. He absolutely took out my army. He's got 3 siege tanks, a Thor, which will be very helpful, and 4 banshees. Now I'm scouting around for his whole base, and I am amazed that this is his only base, but that gives me some more confidence that I could actually win this game, and so I keep making siege